Hello. So during today's session, we'll be briefly introducing the speakers. We'll also explain a little bit about Roslin Analytics, who we are and what we do. We'll be taking a look at the current state of supplier performance management today. And also, we'll take a look at best practice and the way forward for SPM. We will then take a look at a demonstration of the Roslin technology. And at the end, we'll close with some Q&A. And on the subject of Q&A, just to let you know that we would like you to submit your questions throughout the session using the box on the bottom right of your screen, and we'll do our best to cover at the end of the session. So, moving on, I'm Andrew Spencer. I'm the Head of Product Development here at Roslin Analytics, and I have about 21 years of experience across various business intelligence and analytics offerings, working both with software vendors and also working with services organizations who deliver those kinds of solutions.
And I'm Georgina Lindsey. I'm the product manager here at Roslin Analytics. I've been here for about 18 months. I work very closely with the development team, building the products that form our product set, all delivered through the RAPid platform. And I'm a particular champion of the InTouch product that I'll be demonstrating at the end of the session.
Okay, so a little bit about Roslin Analytics. We're a global leading data technology company with a mission to make data accessible and better for decision makers. We launched as a public company last year, 2014. Our headquarters are here in London in the UK, and we also have 3 offices in the US. We're growing rapidly, and today we are growing from a base of in excess of 100 customers and partners. In terms of what we do, we offer the award-winning RAPid Cloud Data Platform, which provides business users with a single destination for self-service data preparation, analytics, and data management. We also offer the InTouch data collection engine, which enables you to collect and manage the data you need for a successful supplier relationship management program. This may comprise scorecards, surveys, and questionnaires, and we'll show you this in more detail later on. We're also one of the first to integrate and automate the different stages that raw data goes through to become meaningful information, so that more time is spent on high-value analysis than simply data wrangling. So today, we're specifically talking about the need for supplier performance management and how the right approach, supported by the right data and tools, can drive more profitable and successful relationships with suppliers through maximizing opportunity and innovation and minimizing risk. So if we look at data and the art of the possible, every organization, including yours, has data, but it is not necessarily, you're not necessarily getting the value you should from it. Many businesses aren't aligning their strategy to available data because they can't access data easily or they simply don't trust it. Having said that, our research shows that 2/3 of organizations are using data tactically and getting success from that. So what we learn from this is that there is a big opportunity for organizations as a whole to improve performance through the better use of data. Performance management is one great example or one specific domain in a business where the right data can have big impact on business strategy and success. Supplier performance data is critical in understanding and driving your supplier relationships. Better information guides strategy and decision-making as opposed to relying on reactive behavior alone. The way suppliers are managed has changed, and technology has provided the opportunity for smaller teams to be able to manage more suppliers. The changing business structures has reduced the opportunity for regular face-to-face contact between suppliers and organizations, and this means that there is a gap that needs to be filled. This is where the right data and tools can bridge that gap. The freshness and the relevance of supplier data and also its quality is therefore critical for delivering this value. Without effective supplier performance management, you risk exposing yourself to poorly performing suppliers. For instance, they may undership, they may deliver late, or they may deliver goods that are damaged and unavailable. There are also geopolitical risks such as natural disasters or sanctions. If you think, for example, of the recent move by Scotland to devolve from the UK, that had an impact for supplier and business. It has implications for any supplier that is ultimately owned by a Russian organization. And also, you need to be able to plan for contingencies. If you have a supplier that fails, you need to be able to locate and identify an alternative supply quickly and effectively to be able to continue your processes. With effective supply performance management, you gain control and you can maximize opportunities with your suppliers, ultimately improving the bottom line through perhaps reinforcing and replicating good behaviors. For instance, you could restructure contracts to provide incentives that are linked to the supplier's performance. You could look at aligning relationships with suppliers for mutual benefit based on knowledge and feedback and certainties within the relationship. You can also encourage ideas and innovation. And also you can improve performance management through ensuring compliance, whether you're looking at things like diversity, sustainability, health and safety. Traditional SPM solutions are too narrowly focused and tend to be isolated from procurement systems. They're difficult to use and administer, and they're slow and expensive to deploy. They can be inflexible and limited in their capabilities. But really, it doesn't have to be this way. With Roslyn's RAPid Cloud Data Platform, organizations can achieve a 360-degree view of suppliers to satisfy all stakeholders. Supplier data is integrated with additional sources of data, such as spend, to provide context and clarity to enable you to achieve your goals. So let's talk through some examples to illustrate this. Traditionally, key data sources for SPM have been siloed and unconnected. Data has perhaps been irregularly updated and is often incomplete. Organizations tend to limit the scope of data that they have collected and used, which limits their understanding or the available information to them. For example, imagine we are a manufacturing business. We might have access to data such as factory inventory, spend analysis, supplier parts, and this is some of the examples shown in the chart here. These are all vital sources of data for SPM, but they're not integrated and tend to sit in separate systems. The challenge today is how to achieve a seamless contextual view across these rich sources. Also, the value of this data can be greatly enhanced by enriching it with additional data sources or third-party data sources. So we say traditional isn't enough. The key is to think more about the art of the possible and look at the range of data sources that could and should be used to give you a more rounded and contextual view of your supplier performance. Having access to these multiple data sources means that you are arming yourself with the most amount of information possible and making decisions based on sound data. It also means that you can more effectively collaborate with departments across your own organization. For example, traditional SPM data sources don't provide sufficient information to address geopolitical or environmental risks to your supply chain. So to help convey this, we've zoomed in on some specific examples from the previous wheel, showing you the value you can get from combining specific data sources. For example, by combining spend analysis and supply chain data with supplier sourcing data, which traditionally comes from other internal departments, along with external data such as Dun & Bradstreet company financials, you can identify where there is high expenditure with financially unstable vendors and take steps to replace them with less risky suppliers or potentially place them on a performance improvement plan to ensure that the supply chain risk exposure is minimized. Or you may wish to take an alternate view and choose to survey internal category managers to capture their view of the performance of suppliers they're working with or managing, and then contrast this with the level of spend against each of these suppliers. So what does this look like in real life for an organization? In this example, we're showing a dashboard in which you can map supplier performance scores against spend. You can slice and dice the data in various ways that are consistent with your key KPIs and metrics, and you can identify where you are spending and also rank suppliers' performance against that spend. However, the reality for many organizations is that they are in the earlier stages of maturity. From our work with procurement and supply chain, there are three broad groups that we've identified that organizations fit into based on their SPM maturity. Those in the early stage of SPM are typically seeking external consultancy and bespoke solutions to integrate their multiple data sources into a single view. These SPM programs are typically slow-moving and cautious. Some supplier surveys may have been sent out to demonstrate the capability of this within the scope of the overall project, but these are typically not part of an ongoing strategy. They may be a momentary example. The middle group are those who are collecting supplier data through various means, but this data isn't being connected and analyzed with other data sources, whether internal or external. Users may not have access to or even be aware of other key data sources that exist within their own organization that could impact on interpretation and analysis of supplier data. The final group are those taking a manual approach to supplier performance management. This group spends a lot of time conducting manual, spreadsheet-based work, integrating data from tools and multiple sources, often manually. There may be an initial pilot supplier surveys being conducted, and then these are manually integrated into existing spreadsheets. At a basic level, users can analyze suppliers by spend and other similar metrics, but it's very laborious, it's time-consuming, it's difficult to modify the solution to fit changing needs in the market. So we at Roslin approach the world of SPM in a different way that seamlessly captures and integrates both internal and external data. My colleague Georgina will now demonstrate how you can quickly author a supplier performance scorecard, distribute it, and then analyze the results directly in the context of other data.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Okay, so I've shared my screen with the audience here, and you can see that I'm looking at a browser at the address rapid.roslinalytics.com. RAPid is our online cloud data platform, as has been mentioned earlier in the webinar. And the InTouch tool is just one tool available through it. So here I'm going to click there, and I'm going to demonstrate how quick and easy it is to build up a new scorecard, self-service, to send out to perhaps some internal stakeholders who represent the suppliers, or indeed directly out to the suppliers. So the way this is going to work is I'm going to create a new form, design that form. I'll talk a little bit about KPIs and scoring metrics, and a few other configuration aspects, and then show how after publication of the scorecard, which goes out by email to the participants identified during the setup, how they will be clicking on that link, coming into the RAPid platform through a browser to very easily fill out the scorecard that you've set up. And then I'll go on to look at the results, and finally integration with spend data. So here I am. This is my my manage forms view, the area where I can build, administer, and edit the scorecards and surveys that I've set up. Just to throw in a bit of extra information here, it's not just supplier performance that this can be used for. This is a tool that can be used to collect any kind of information. I am going to be focusing on supplier performance today, but just to put that in context, that this can be used to build up any kind of scorecard or survey. So here we go. I would start by clicking New Form here, and setting up a few sort of high-level details about the form. Do I want a scorecard, a survey, or data capture? The key points here are that a scorecard is probably the most relevant for supplier performance management. It's where you can set up a scoring mechanism to be able to evaluate your supplier relationships and supplier performance in as objective a manner as possible. So I'll give my scorecard a title, so I'll just call it, for example, Supplier Scorecard. This is where you can add a description if you like, and there are a few other configuration options here. This is where, when you're a bit more familiar with the tool, where you would provide an overall scoring formula for the sheet. Coming into the design here, and it is a build in place tool. So Perhaps the first section on my scorecard is going to be about pricing, something everybody is concerned about, I hope. A little bit of descriptive instruction text, a section about pricing. And here we go, it's just appearing straight on the left-hand side. And this is building up the scorecard as the person filling it out will see it. So you can see that it's a really nice design here. Let's start with pricing review. Please compare last year's pricing with the current price plan, for example. And I'll choose a few options here. Perhaps disappointingly, I've seen a price increase. No change. Price decrease. Now, I've mentioned scoring a number of times, and this is what these boxes are about. So I can associate a value with each answer. So price increase, worth very little. No change, 10. And you can see that this is entirely flexible. So it does require a bit of upfront thinking. How do I want to score the scorecard? Am I looking at a percentage overall to perhaps score out of 100? You may already have some sort of spreadsheet that already has a calculation. That all can be represented in here. So there we go, and I can see that this is building up just as I designed. I might not choose a rating type, I might choose to collect some raw values. So unit price last period, and for that I'm going to choose numeric, and then I might do the same to collect unit price this period, numeric, and that's where then in that scoring formula I could do the calculation to work out the difference and then assign a score based on that value. Okay, so having designed my form, and I'll show you one I made earlier just in a bit, the next stage is to decide which suppliers I want to review. Now, that might be a subset of your strategic suppliers. You might be looking at those you spend most money with, those that present a particular risk in your key part of your supply chain. So this is, I can add suppliers one by one here. If you've got a small program, there's upload by CSV if you need to export from another system, or if you're using the RAPid platform for spend analytics, then you've automatically got some integration already with what's in here. So here I can link directly to my suppliers as already recorded in the RAPid platform with their spend, with the invoice detail. And that's just a case of add them one by one as so. The next stage would be adding who you actually want to send it to, list of email addresses, and finally the publishing stage. And you can schedule publishing for the future, have this recur on a regular schedule, so perhaps monthly, quarterly, or anything you choose. So having done that, and let's just imagine that I hit that publish button, that sends out an email to those that I've specified that I'd like input from. So as I said, I'll just quickly show you one I made earlier, just to demonstrate some of the common sections in these scorecards that we've come across from our customers. Here we go. So price, as I mentioned, price transparency, delivery and support, partnership and innovation, quality, risk and compliance, the kinds of things that we've seen people collect information on. Okay, so now I'm going to change persona slightly and switch to another browser window here, where I'm imagining that I've clicked that link from the email that was sent to me asking me to partake in this. If I'm a category manager, perhaps I need to review a number of suppliers. Others may only need to review one. If you're sending it directly to a representative at the supplier, it will be a one-to-one relationship. So it's a very simple interface. Click through, and here's the scorecard. Now, this is completely mobile compatible, so I could be filling this out on the go. And it's a case of very easily clicking my answers. I may find that there are some things I want to go and check. No problem, save it and come back to it later. And the usual validation you might expect. So back to my admin view. As soon as the scorecards are submitted by the people filling them out, the data comes directly into the RAPid platform in real time. So here I'm looking at my sample scorecard. The first one I published. I'm waiting for 21 responses, 6 of them have arrived, and that updates in real time. So let's come in and have a look at some of the results. Based on the scoring I set up when I designed this, I've got a number of KPIs. I've got a well-performing supplier here, Supplier D, few that I need to monitor and look at, and a couple where really need to focus my efforts. These results are completely interactive, so here I can see Supplier A doing pretty well on my overall scoring, but because I've weighted the sections in the scorecard, I can see that if I drill down into quality, it's quite a different story. You can also make sure that you're getting good buy-in to this process. I can see that I haven't had a response to Supplier G. Send a reminder. Just resend the email, reminding them they need to come in to the RAPid platform to fill in that scorecard. Okay. So I said I'd talk a bit about integration with other data. And that's where I can come and look at this dashboard. Overall, I'll just select the data I want to look at. And here we go. You would have seen this in Andrew's presentation. And let me just take you through a few of the details here. So I'm looking at my suppliers ranked by spend here. This blue bar is how much I've spent with them over the period I've selected. This is all demo data dated from about 2010, 2011. And that's where I can see overall that my highest, the supplier I'm spending the most money with, actually has a performance doing not so well. So that performance score has come directly from InTouch in this example. So I've collected that data, I've set up some KPI levels, and I've decided that my scores are perhaps a value between 0 and 1. But it doesn't stop there. There are perhaps other measures that you might have available in your ERP system. Perhaps absolutely hard measures based on on-time payments or delivery times. Those can also be combined with this data along with the data collected through the InTouch scorecards and then against your spend. It's really very powerful. Drilling in a bit more of the detail here, I can select a couple of suppliers to compare against one another. That is if I select multiple. Let's just go through that again. Here we go. So a bit more delving into the detail here, looking at the different metrics. You can recognise these titles. They're the ones that I set up in my scorecard. Drilling down even further, select a single supplier, and this is where you can really begin to see your 360-degree view. I can look at this supplier, what my spend over time with them is, what categories I'm spending with them, their overall performance score, an overall sort of performance over time, and even into the different sections in that scorecard. So I think that covers everything I wanted to show, and I think now I'll hand back to Andrew for a quick summary.
Yes, indeed. Well, thank you very much indeed, Georgina. That was a very thorough overview, and I hope it's prompted a number of questions and certainly a lot of interest from the audience today. So really, to draw our session to a close, there's a few key takeaways we'd like to share with you. For us, the key is being able to collect and connect data. Why do you want to do this? Well, really, it's to ensure that both internal and external parties participate in any SPM program that you have. And to do this, your SPM program needs to be easy for suppliers to respond to. It also needs to be easy for you to configure it to your organizational needs. And also, you need to be able to easily combine the collected information with other information sources that are available to you both internally and potentially from third-party data sources. In the example that we showed you today, that was a spend analytics example. So this is where self-service tools are very important. They facilitate and they encourage the adoption and the interaction and participation of all parties necessary to support a strong supply performance management program. So with that, I'd like to take things to the Q&A session and open it up to the questions that we've had submitted during the course of the session. So if I take the first question that came through, how easy is it to actually configure the KPIs?
Well, if collecting data through the InTouch tool, which is what I think you're referring to, that process of setting up the scoring is much like writing a simple formula in Excel. So there are a few key functions. You can decide some weightings, and then the next stage would be to specify a score of 50% is good, a score of 20% is poor, and we go for a simple red, amber, green strategy, and it's as simple as just typing a formula in a box.
Thank you. And a further question we had is, can anyone in the organisation create a scorecard as needed? So I suppose what we're asking here is how difficult is it to create a scorecard, or how do you access the RAPid platform to do that?
Sure. So the RAPid platform has a user and role-based administration. So you can add a number of different users within your organisation and grant them permissions. And one of those permissions is to allow them to be an administrator in InTouch. So it's as easy as assigning permissions.
Okay, so essentially anybody can author it, and I assume the other thing we should just confirm and mention is that because the interaction with the RAPid platform is through a browser, they can do so on any device that's available to them. And I think during the demo you actually showed the resizing of the screen to show that we can dynamically render the interface in RAPid so that it remains meaningful regardless of the size of the screen or the nature of the device that you're using, which is all great stuff. Another question that we had come through there is, can you send different scorecards and questionnaires to the same supplier?
Yes, you can. So you might have seen on my Manage Forms page there that I had a number of different entries. Those were all different scorecards. So you can publish as many as you like. You can close old ones, and so it can be really clearly laid out for the supplier. Okay,
thank you. And a more general question, I suppose, relating to the whole RAPid platform is there a limit to the number of, or the type of data sources that you can connect to in order to achieve this 360-degree view?
No, there isn't. Data integration is something of our daily bread. We've got customers with 20+ sources across the world, and we bring them all into the RAPid platform, whether those are ERP systems, Excel documents, or, as you can see, data collected through InTouch surveys and scorecards.
Excellent. And we have another question that's just come through, possibly triggered by the mention of devices and things. So which browsers are we actually compatible with?
All of the modern browsers. So Google Chrome, as you saw that I was viewing RAPid through, Internet Explorer, the latest 2 versions, Firefox, and then modern mobile browsers as well.
Excellent. And another question here, we've mentioned extracting data from ERPs. Does that include environments like SAP? I'm pleased to say that yes, that is an environment that many of our existing customers need us to extract data from. Roslyn does actually have its own extraction technology for drawing data from SAP instances, and we do in fact have a webinar on the 28th of this month, so that's the 28th of May. Please make a note in your diaries, where we will be showing our Extract Studio for SAP tool, which is both simple and effective in accessing data from SAP and bringing it into the RAPid platform for integration with other data sources. Okay, well it looks like that's all the questions we have for now. If you do have any further questions, then please do submit them to marketing@roslynanalytics.com. I'll repeat that, it's marketing@roslynanalytics, all one word, .com, and we'll be happy to pick those up offline and get back to you. And with that, the only other thing to mention is that if you would like to replay or perhaps share this session with colleagues, we will be making a recording of this webinar available very shortly, and we'll notify you when that's available. And with that, I'd just like to thank you for your time and attention today. We've had a lot of fun talking to you and sharing Roslyn with you, and we hope to do the same again very shortly.